Can you believe that we actually have some news outside of the Activision Blizzard deal regarding Xbox and all of their first-party games that are set to come out in 2023? We have some insiders talking like Jeff Grubb about Xbox and their roadmap for 2023 and beyond. This is some of the first game leaks we've had from Xbox, the type of potential Game Pass can have, and I'm excited to talk about all of it because truly, I want to talk about the games first and foremost, and that's exactly what this is all about. Multiple leaked games, multiple big AAA games coming to Game Pass in 2023, and it's all there in front of us. So let's get into it. Alright, so you know the drill. If you like the content, hit that subscribe button and that like button. And if you want to be notified on future videos, hit that small little bell icon. And if you want to go that extra mile to support the channel, hit that join button. All the support is greatly appreciated. Alright, so we all know that Xbox in 2022 is not that great. They haven't brought out a lot of games. A lot of people have been disappointed. And to be quite honest with you, they haven't brought any big AAA games from their first party into Game Pass, something that makes the service stand out even more. That's the whole thing about Xbox and the whole thing about Game Pass, is that their first party titles are going to be there day and date. But if you're not dropping first-party titles in there for an entire year, it starts to devalue the service. And I think Xbox and a lot of people that are insiders understand that, especially people within Microsoft. And that is what happened in this big interview with Xbox Expansion Pass's Luke Lower and Jeff Grubb, who talk about how big Game Pass and Xbox's first party is going to be next year. Let's just get into the article and what's said. Microsoft internal roadmap points to breakout year for first party and Game Pass. In an interview with Xbox Expansion Pass's Luke Lower, Jeff Grubb, currently of Giant Bomb and former games reporter for VentureBeat, speculated that 2023 looks to be the year when things begin to sync up between Microsoft's strategy and their ability to release one or more big games per quarter. Of course, after this year's Xbox Bethesda showcase, it's already been public information that Starfield, Redfall, Forza Motorsport, Minecraft Legends, and Ara History Untold are slated for the first half of 2023. With the showcase limiting its focus to the next 12 months, we've lacked insight into what would be possible the second half of the year. Jeff attempts to put the pieces together for Xbox fans. Now, I do have to admit, I enjoyed the Xbox and Bethesda showcase that they had for E3 this year. I thought it was well put together. I thought they showed off a lot of games, and most of all, they showed off a bunch of gameplay. That, to me, is vital to a good show. But when you look at everything, it still doesn't help with the lack of the end of 2022. But it does show the stacked 2023 and what Xbox could do and what kind of games they can put out over the time period that is the first 6 months of 2023. Yet, it did have a question mark. What are we going to have for holiday season next year, and what are the plans if anything gets delayed? Well, Jeff Grubb tries to put the pieces together, and this is what he says. They had a bunch of games on the docket from 2021 through 2022, which they expected in 2023. Games included on the list were Avowed, Fable, Perfect Dark, Everwild, Hellblade 2, Contraband, inXile's next game, Compulsion's next game, and Coalition's next non-Gears project. These games were part of their internal schedule and were subject to change. He'd then go on to add that some of those games, once slated for 2023, no longer passed the smell test, with the most obvious example being Everwild. Of that list, he predicts Hellblade 2 as number one most likely to release back half of 2023, with Compulsion's next game second most likely. Alright, let me break all of that down because this is insane. First of all, we all know that Avowed, Fable, Perfect Dark, Hellblade 2, and all those other games seem to be in the works, and we've seen a couple things of them, especially from Hellblade 2, and we've seen a little bit, very little, of Avowed and Fable. Yet Perfect Dark has had a trailer, and then it went quiet. So all these games we're talking about, we don't know about. Everwild, as we know, has been kind of pushed back, and the game director left, so they're really revamping what that game is. And trust me, I know what Rare is. I love Sea of Thieves, so I trust what they're going to do, and I'm just going to wait for them to release this game, and I'm going to make the judgment once it comes out because I trust the studio. As for Perfect Dark, we know that this big studio is working on it. We know that the internal studio has done the core gameplay loop. Then they went out to Square Enix and got that studio over there to help build out the game, which apparently was part of the plan from day one. And then we look at Hellblade 2, which has had multiple trailers and a big gameplay trailer at the Game Awards. And I gotta say, I think this is the big game that's coming out next year, but I do need it to be a lot different. I didn't really enjoy Hellblade all that much. I thought it looked stunning, I thought it was great, but overall, it was just a big walking simulator to me. I want something different. I want big gameplay mechanics, I want combat, and I want a big world that looks stunning. I hope they do that. I hope they revamp everything because Hellblade 2 has the potential to be something crazy. Now let's move on to Compulsion's next game. I have talked about this studio multiple times, and it's one of the studios I'm thoroughly looking forward to. It has been known that for a while, some stuff leaked that they're making kind of like a dark fantasy world with harpies and a bunch of other cool stuff that is very gothic, and I want to see what they're working on. I thought they were going to show off their game this year because we have to realize they've been quiet, and I mean utterly quiet from 2018. All they've done is release We Happy Few, and that's it. Then they announced that, hey, we're expanding our studio. They bought a whole new lot. They have a whole new studio with all this stuff, and they've expanded crazy because they pitched a big AAA game to Xbox. They liked it and then funded them. So I want to see what they're working on, and they're one of my most anticipated studios at Xbox because I think they can do something really cool. And then we move over to Coalition, who I think is probably the best developer at Xbox, and they're making a non-Gears project, which I'm all down for. I think Gears of War can kind of chill, work on Unreal 5, make sure it looks stunning when it comes out, take all the time you need, because Gears of War 5 I thought was amazing. I love the single-player aspect, but I would love to see that talented studio make something else and maybe bring out a new IP, maybe bring out a reoccurring IP, just something different. I'm looking forward to it. And all those games, the ones that are most likely, funny enough, is Hellblade 2 and Compulsion's next game. That's what gets me. I can't understand how Compulsion's next game is the most likely for the end of 2023 when we haven't seen anything. Maybe they're going to be one of those big shadow drops where they talk about the game next year and then bam, it comes out 5 months later. Who knows? But let's get back into what the article has to say, because I do have to say there's a lot of information here. When asked if he believes Microsoft may intentionally space things out, for example, pushing back Avowed in order to avoid releasing too close to Starfield due to being in the same genre, he said it doesn't work that way. Spacing things out made a lot of sense in the old model. It's all additive in a subscription model. Releasing two big games next to each other makes it easier for someone to pull the trigger. It's a lot easier to keep people happy than it is to get someone to subscribe in the first place. Of course, this internal schedule doesn't factor in the Activision Blizzard King deal, which could add more day one games such as Diablo 4 and Overwatch campaign to the mix. Knowing that Microsoft has so many bullets ready to fire in 2023, it doesn't appear afraid to release too many games at once in 2023, going to be a tipping point for Game Pass. That's something that I need to talk about, because while they are concentrating on the Xbox first party and all the studios there is still that big looming deal of Activision Blizzard, and I think that they're just not going to space it out. I think they're going to make Game Pass into one of the most valuable things in gaming, which to me it already is. I play so many games through that it's kind of sickening. I'm not even joking. I jump on PC a lot, I jump on Xbox a lot, and I just start playing my games through xCloud, or I start playing them through my PC or my console because Game Pass has so many of them. And they drop games like crazy. We just had Metal Hellsinger, we had a bunch of other games out there, some smaller games, and we're about to get Deathloop on there, which is a big AAA game from Xbox, and it's going to be on there through the whole thing, so you can play it on your console, your PC, or cloud. Everything is starting to line up for Xbox, and I understand that 2022 has been a massive disappointment when it comes to first-party games, but overall, I gotta give them credit. Next year, they better start dropping games, or it's going to get really ugly for their subscription model. A lot of people are going to leave. And right now, they're kind of tailing 2022 off pretty well. They're bringing out new games, they're dropping games that I didn't think were going to be in there, and they're buying new deals outside of the ones we saw at E3. Because they understand that the holiday season is a huge reason why people are going to get into their subscription model. And Deathloop, Metal Hellsinger, and a bunch of other deals that we probably don't even know about are going to be coming into Xbox Game Pass in the next several months. Who knows, they might lock down a big AAA game, kind of like what they did with Outriders. Do you not remember that? People thought Outriders was going to come out and it was just going to flop and blah, blah, blah. A lot of people didn't like the game from the way it looked, but it had a lot of promise. And what did they do? A week or so, or maybe 2 weeks before release, they announced that they're coming day and date to Xbox Game Pass, and that made the game much more popular. A lot more people played it, and it gave that studio a foothold into an audience. I could see that happening with multiple games throughout the year and into next year. But overall, To me, I want to see Xbox focus on their first party, which is looking like they are right here in this article. And I'm glad Jeff Grubb talked about this. I'm glad he brought out some games that he thinks are going to come out in the later half of 2023. And we have to admit, Jeff Grubb has been pretty right all the time. That guy does not miss. He has a lot of great resources, a lot of sources, and when he talks, I tend to listen because he's a great insider and he's just a great person that talks about gaming and has a lot of knowledge around it. So I'm looking forward to next year, but I'm also looking forward to the next several months of this year to see what Xbox can do. But let me know what you think about this. Are you happy that we're finally talking about some of these games? Are you happy that we're not talking about Activision Blizzard deal? Do you think we're going to get Hellblade 2 and the Compulsion game next year? What other studios within Xbox do you see dropping a game next year? And do you think the 4 games that are slated for the beginning half of next year are enough to kind of quench the thirst of gamers? Or do you think Xbox needs to go out there and grab even more games to drop on Game Pass to make it one of the best services out there, bar none, when it comes to media? Go down below and let me know. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please hit that subscribe button and that like button to support us out the channel more than you know. And give me a follow on Twitter at Zalker87. I'm always on there talking games and sharing my latest videos. Plus, I love interacting with everyone there, so get on Twitter and let's talk about gaming. Also, follow me on Xbox Live. My gamer tag is Zalker87, just like my channel name. See what games I'm playing, and let's compete in achievements for the month. So right now, I've been playing a lot of World of Warcraft. I'm kind of getting ready for the Wrath of the Lich King, so I've been jumping into Classic WoW, and trust me, it's a lot of fun. I've been leveling up my rogue with my buddy, plus I boosted a warlock so I can get ready for Wrath of the Lich King once that drops, and I'm just going to enjoy the game as it comes out. I'm having a lot of fun with it, so I'm just going to be riding that for a little while. And I've been jumping into a lot, and I mean a lot of Days Gone. I have almost, I think, 16 or 17 hours in the game. I'm just enjoying it. I think it's a lot of fun on PC, and it runs a lot better on PC. I can't go back to the PlayStation 5 and the way it ran. It just didn't look as good. Plus, I'm getting this thing at 100 frames per second, max setting, max all this, and the mouse and keyboard runs great. I'm able to fight hordes a lot easier on there, and I'm just enjoying it. I think Days Gone is probably one of the most underrated games out there. I gave it a lot of flack back in the day, in I think 2019, because I didn't like the performance on the PS4 Pro, and the game just took too long. I didn't enjoy it. It was kind of weird, but since I'm playing it with mouse and keyboard and controllers I like, I'm enjoying it a lot more on the PC, so I think that game and that studio have a lot of promise. But let me know what you're playing. Are you playing something on your Xbox Series X, your PC, or are you on your PS5 playing something? Let me know down below, because that's what we're here for, is to talk games. And that's all for now. Thanks for watching, and until next time, remember, enjoy your gaming. Later.